This is the extraordinary story of a talking parrot named Mango, a bird who, without any understanding of what he was doing, played a pivotal role in dismantling a dangerous drug ring in Blackpool, England. Mango wasn't your run-of-the-mill pet, squawking at random and mimicking the odd ringtone. He was repeating the exact phrases used during illegal drug deals. In doing so, this unsuspecting parrot became the thread that led investigators to unpick a criminal network run by a man who was still calling the shots from behind bars. It's a tale that begins oddly and ends decisively, with police uncovering a sprawling operation involving smuggled drugs, covert communications, and brazen displays of wealth. And it culminates in more than a century of prison sentences. The story opens in early 2023. Adam Garnett, already serving time for previous offenses, somehow continued to run a sophisticated drug trafficking enterprise from his prison cell. From within those walls, Garnett directed the supply of heroin, cocaine, ketamine, and cannabis across Blackpool. How? By exploiting smuggled mobile phones and concealed Wi-Fi routers to maintain constant contact with his associates on the outside. Those hidden devices, tucked away where they had no business being, became the first major clue in an inquiry that would reach far beyond a single cell. Garnett wasn't a petty offender. He showed a high level of organization and control, a man coordinating serious criminality despite the locks, the bars, and the routine of a high-security establishment. As the investigation gathered pace, it became clear to Lancashire police that Garnett's network didn't just survive his imprisonment, it flourished. He used encrypted devices to keep a tight grip on operations. Messages flowed, instructions were issued, and money moved. Among his closest associates was his girlfriend, Shannon Hilton. She wasn't merely on the periphery, she was deeply embedded in the running of the business. And it was here, with Hilton, that the parrot entered the picture. Officers obtained a video that would become one of the most unusual pieces of evidence encountered in recent British policing. In it, Hilton can be seen teaching Mango to say, 2 for 25.
2 for 25.
A phrase that, in plain English, means 2 portions of crack cocaine for £25. The tone is light, almost playful. Hilton laughs. A child is present. Mango hops about and plays with bundles of cash believed to be proceeds from the gang's deals. To the casual viewer, it might look like a daft party trick, the sort of clip that circulates on social media for a cheap laugh. But to detectives, the words mattered. 2 for 25 wasn't random. It was part of the group's coded language, embedded within their trade. And when a parrot repeats your code repeatedly, on video, that's evidence. From there, the digital trail widened. On Hilton's phone, investigators found more videos and messages. Some recordings showed Hilton conversing with Garnett. In the background, blocks of cocaine were visible, presented almost as props, accompanied by music that glamorized drug culture. Far from hiding in the shadows, members of the group seemed eager to document their activities, to boast, to show off their cash and product, to perform success. The very footage intended to impress friends and intimidate rivals would, in time, help to bury them in court. Those images of drugs treated like trophies spoke volumes. Here was a network so confident, and perhaps so complacent, that it filmed its own downfall. Police then began connecting other figures to the conspiracy. One of them was Dalbir Sandhu, a trusted associate of Garnett. Sandhu's phone told a story of its own. Price lists, transaction notes, and research that indicated a keen interest in trafficking networks beyond Blackpool. He kept detailed records, entries that set out, in stark text, the mechanics of selling illegal drugs at street level and likely ambitions to expand. Each list, each note, helped detectives map relationships, roles, and responsibilities. Sandhu's paperwork, digital though it was, provided the kind of structure investigators need. Names, numbers, amounts, timings, the skeleton of an operation laid bare. Another key player was Jason Gerrand. A search at his home uncovered a stash of drugs and significant quantities of cash, items that tied him directly to the ongoing conspiracy. The link to Garnett was not speculative. It was direct and evidenced. The materials seized at Gerrand's address, when set alongside Hilton's videos and Sandhu's records, gave the investigation both breadth and depth. The pieces began to lock together. Who supplied whom? Who counted the money? Who took the risks on the street? And who gave orders from a prison cell? Then there was Gareth Burgess, a man who could not resist turning his life into a soundtrack. On his phone, police found footage of him walking through Blackpool with wads of cash, rapping about his involvement in the trade. Boastful and unguarded, the videos amounted to a kind of rolling confession. They helped corroborate the reality of the network's activities: money moving, drugs being sold, a lifestyle being advertised with swagger in public spaces. For investigators building a case based on patterns of communication, supply chains, and cash flows, those self-incriminating clips were a gift. The turning point came when detectives drew a straight line between Mango's mimicry and the gang's own documentation. The Parrot's 2 for 25, captured on video with Hilton, matched the phrasing in Sandhu's transaction notes. The same language surfaced across messages and lists. In building a conspiracy case, it is not one single item that convinces a jury, but the accumulation, independent strands that align. Here, a bird's echo meshed with ledger entries and phone extractions to form a compelling narrative. This was a well-organized network, using coded phrases, operating at scale, and run by a man in custody who should have had no means of communication at all. Once detectives were satisfied that the pieces formed a coherent whole, Lancashire Police moved. The force's West-targeted crime team coordinated arrests and searches, executing warrants and taking down the network's key figures. In all, 15 people were arrested, each playing a distinct role within the operation, from directing orders to handling cash to distributing drugs at street level. What had started with a strange video of a parrot had become a fully fledged conspiracy case grounded in digital forensics, surveillance, and old-fashioned police work. In court, the charges were serious. Conspiracy to supply Class A drugs among them, together with offenses tied to the supply of other controlled substances. The sentences reflected the gravity and scale of the offending. Adam Garnett, the man orchestrating operations from behind bars, received 19 years and 6 months. His partner in the conspiracy, Shannon Hilton, was sentenced to 12 years. Dalbir Sandhu, whose meticulous records had helped map the trade, was jailed for 10 years. Jason Gerrand received 8 years, and Gareth Burgess, whose own braggadocio provided damning evidence, was handed a term of more than 7 years. The remaining members of the group received custodial sentences proportionate to their involvement, ranging from several years to well over a decade. In total, the combined terms exceeded 100 years of imprisonment. Beyond the courtroom numbers lies the method by which the case was built. Investigators used advanced techniques: digital forensics to extract and interpret phone data, surveillance to follow movements and meetings, and careful analysis to align words, images, and money with the physical seizures of drugs and cash. They tracked the smugglers' ingenuity in getting devices into a prison, monitored the use of encrypted communications, and demonstrated to a jury how a phrase repeated by a pet could be evidence when it lined up with human behavior and documented transactions. It is a reminder that in 21st century policing, the trail is often digital, and that criminals who flaunt their activities online frequently write the script for their own convictions. The significance of the operation was not lost on the force. After the case concluded, Lancashire Police highlighted the diligence of the West Targeted Crime Team and emphasized the importance of targeting organized crime, whether it operates on the streets or from inside prison. Detective Sergeant Anthony Alves described the investigation as a major success in the ongoing effort against organized crime in the county, a statement underscoring both the persistence required to follow complex digital trails and the willingness to act decisively once the evidence is in place. The message was clear. The force will continue to pursue those who believe they can run criminal enterprises from behind bars, and it will adapt to whatever methods offenders attempt to use. And at the center of this unusual narrative, there remains Mango, an innocent parrot, utterly oblivious to the consequences of his mimicry. He didn't choose sides, he simply repeated what he heard. Yet his voice, captured on a phone and played back in court, helped join dots that might otherwise have remained scattered. In a world where criminals resort to codes, nicknames, and encrypted apps, it is almost poetic that a pet's plain repetition of a phrase, 2 for 25, should become a key piece of corroboration. It's quirky, yes, but it also speaks to a broader truth. Crime leaves traces, sometimes in the places you least expect. This case will be remembered not only for the number of defendants or the length of the sentences, but for its distinctive lesson. Technology can be smuggled into cells. Messages can be hidden in encrypted chats. Money can be flashed on camera to impress followers. But evidence has a habit of surfacing. A video saved to the wrong device. A ledger updated one time too many. A boast wrapped into a lens. Or a parrot taught to repeat the language of the street. Collated and carefully presented, these fragments become a narrative that a court can weigh. And, in this instance, a narrative that led to heavy custodial terms for those at its heart. For viewers, it's a story that begins with a curious clip and ends with a decisive outcome. 15 arrests, a dismantled network, and over 100 years of prison time. For investigators, it is a testament to persistence, patience, and the ability to treat the unusual with the seriousness it deserves. And for the rest of us, it's a reminder that truth can arrive from unexpected mouths. If you've enjoyed this true crime account, please like, comment, and subscribe for more. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.